Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane. There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested.
Names, last names, area codes, it's okay.
Who created this book?
Epstein himself.
We're so grateful to be joined by Jeffrey Epstein survivor Annie Farmer. Annie, thank you so much for taking the time to come back on the show.
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions.
Long before the world saw the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein's inner circle was packed with billionaires, tech moguls, government officials, and A-list celebrities. He even tried to lure Joe Rogan to his infamous island, but Rogan refused. Unlike many who turned a blind eye, Rogan sensed that something was deeply wrong. Now he's breaking his silence, revealing what's really in Epstein's secret black book, what happened aboard the notorious Lolita Express, and the shocking details the FBI failed to redact from the files. For the first time, Joe Rogan takes us inside the hidden world Epstein tried to keep buried. In a recent episode of his show, Joe Rogan revealed a startling connection from 2017.
People have an understanding of how things are really working than ever before.
Yeah.
Like this Epstein file thing, right? That was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. When you see how many people after 2008, after he was arrested, after he went to jail, were actively taking money from him. MIT took money from him and tried to hide it and said it would make sure that any donations from Jeffrey are listed as anonymous. So
wow.
you find out like people are like, they referred to him as Voldemort, like you couldn't say his name.
Wow.
There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested, after he went to jail.
Do you spend a lot of time reading them?
No, I try not to. I try to have experts come on. I try to read. You can't change it.
Yeah.
And it'll with your head.
Yeah, it's
like
toxic.
You will really get.
It'll stick with and I know I've tried not to.
Yeah.
Tried to set up a meeting between Rogan and Jeffrey Epstein. The attempt is now documented in the newly released files. An email from Epstein to Krauss shows Epstein trying to get introduced to Rogan, writing, "It is wild, like Damascus. How are things? I saw you did the Joe Rogan show. Can you introduce me? I think he's funny." When Krauss reached out, Rogan wasn't interested. Epstein persisted, even suggesting, if he wants, Rogan can have dinner with Woody Allen on Friday. Krauss later admitted in his reply, "Sorry about Rogan so far. He seems more timid than I would have thought." At that time, Epstein had already been convicted on sexual charges, yet he continued to mingle with some of the world's most powerful figures, emailing and partying with Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Prince Andrew, and even Jay-Z. Rogan immediately sensed that something was deeply wrong. His instincts were reinforced by something extraordinary. Years before any files were released, Alex Jones had predicted some of these events, hinting at the dark reality unfolding on Epstein's island and his private plane, long before Epstein's conviction made headlines.
I'm in the files for not going.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going. Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would ever went.
But
especially after I Googled him. I was like, what the f*** are you talking about? This was like 2017. One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, you high? Like, what the f*** are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was like sucking up to the rich and powerful, if I was really interested in hanging out with rich and powerful people.
You know, it's crazy. That's so crazy. But yeah, some people
get intoxicated by being in a circle of rich and powerful people, even if they're not, like, they don't even have any ambitions of being one of those people. They just want to be around them. They want to be around Nobel Prize winners. And because this guy what he was doing was very clever in that he was getting all of these very powerful and very respected people together.
Yeah.
And you would figure like, oh, it's
if
safe.
that guy's there, if that lady's
Clinton's
there.
here. This is fine.
Right.
Clinton's here. How could this be bad?
Yeah.
Look, it's Steven Pinker. How could this be bad?
Yeah.
You know, he's a genius. Like, and so you would go, I would imagine, you would go to these, because there's people that went to these, like he had parties in New York, like he brought in celebrities and comedians. Didn't Lewis Black get invited to one of those? I think he's talked about it. I know Chelsea Handler went to one of them. It's like he would bring all these people in, and he'd like to be around famous people and entertainers and a lot of intellectuals and professors. And Noam Chomsky was famously deeply.
2. Joe Rogan credits his safety to a warning he received years earlier from Alex Jones. On his show, Jones repeatedly told Rogan that something deeply sinister was happening on Epstein's island. It wasn't just a playground for the rich. It was, according to Jones, a hub where powerful figures were being compromised. Epstein was allegedly collecting blackmail material by inviting influential people to his island, drugging them, and secretly filming them in compromising situations. By 2017, Epstein had already been convicted of felony assault. But despite that, billionaires like Bill Gates continued to meet with him, a fact that speaks volumes about the shadowy world Epstein had created and the risks involved in crossing paths with him.
Seems very dark.
Very
because
dark.
It seems like it was this bizarre blackmail influence thing that was going on for a long time.
For so long.
A long time.
Through different administrations. That's what's so unbelievable about it.
It's
how
dark.
long it was going on.
And this is where the story takes an even darker turn. Why was Epstein collecting blackmail material in the first place? And how did he gain access to the world's most powerful people? Building close ties with both the Saudi and British royal families is no small feat, and President Bill Clinton was even photographed with Epstein. His proximity to such elite circles raises a chilling question. Was Epstein placed there? And if so, by whom? Joe Rogan suggests a disturbing possibility. Epstein may have been an asset for a foreign government. His mission? To gather compromising material on influential figures, while the government behind him funded his lavish billionaire lifestyle, private jets, islands, and properties across the globe. It's the only explanation for how Epstein could afford the kind of wealth and influence that gave him access to the world's elite.
Let me just get real and
What
say,
do you, if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state funded, you're funded by Israel and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so they're juggling around. While
And he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net. There's a lot of those
100%.
guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
All of this was meticulously recorded in Epstein's infamous Black Book. Inside were the names, dates, and phone numbers of everyone who visited his island, along with a list of the victims. For years, only one copy existed in the world, and even after Epstein's conviction, it seemed lost. Until 2009, when the FBI discovered someone online claiming to have it and attempting to sell it. A sting operation was quickly launched, and video from that operation is now included in the latest file release. The footage shows Epstein's former Palm Beach house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, trying to sell the little black book to an undercover agent, claiming it contained the names of powerful figures and Epstein's victims. In the same video, Rodriguez alleged that Ghislaine Maxwell maintained a separate database of girls, allegedly including explicit images. That database has never been recovered, and Maxwell has consistently refused to cooperate with the FBI, even after Epstein's death. It raises a chilling question. What or who could she be so afraid of? It wasn't just Epstein's island where the abuse took place. His private jet, infamously dubbed the Lolita Express, played a central role. Victim testimonies reveal that Epstein would exploit girls while traveling, often keeping a few with him on the plane for his own amusement. The most shocking detail: everyone on the plane, the pilots, the crew, and even his passengers, witnessed these abuses firsthand, yet they all turned a blind eye. They covered for him, remaining silent while the exploitation continued in plain sight.
Names, last names, area codes, it's okay.
Who created this book?
Epstein himself.
This book was made by Epstein?
This is a video of an FBI sting operation with Jeffrey Epstein's former house manager and an undercover FBI employee from 2009. The Palm Beach house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, believes he is selling Epstein's address book to someone representing a lawyer of Epstein's victims.
You will see a lot of important people here.
He claims that the book contains contacts of powerful people, as well as Epstein's victims.
So those are mostly underage girls, those numbers?
They were very young.
A source familiar with the case confirmed the video shows the sting operation, which court documents show happened 2 years after the FBI demanded that Rodriguez turn over any Epstein documents. Instead, court documents say he kept the address book and tried to sell it for $50,000.
Alfredo, how are you?
In the occasionally redacted 45-minute video of the meeting, Rodriguez implicates Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's close associate, who's now serving a 20-year sentence for of minors.
Ghislaine Maxwell was his former companion, a very powerful lady from England. She would go to the former Eastern countries in Europe and find girls for Epstein. And I knew that because I went with my wife.
Rodriguez also claims that Maxwell kept a computer database of girls, something he said he saw briefly once.
What kind of pictures?
Naked girls from Sweden, from Romania, from Czechoslovakia, from Brazil, from
All
Colombia.
minors? All young girls?
Very young, very young.
Like when you say very young, how young are we talking?
16, 17. The teenagers, they have braces, most of them.
Rodriguez provided no evidence to support the existence of the database.
Good, count it. And while you're
The video, released as part of the recent trove of Epstein documents, abruptly ends after the agent hands Rodriguez a bag of cash and says he will call the lawyer.
The latest release of the Epstein files also sheds light on the infamous Lolita Express, showing how Epstein used the jet to transport his high-profile guests across the country and around the world. Flight logs and investigative documents repeatedly reference the aircraft, detailing who was on board and when. One email dated January 7th, 2020, with the subject line, "Re-Flight Records," lists Donald Trump as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. It also notes that Ghislaine Maxwell was present on at least 4 of those flights. On one flight in 1993, only Epstein and Trump were listed. On another, 3 names appear: Epstein, Trump, and a 20-year-old woman, with the remainder redacted. It's important to note that being listed on a flight log does not prove wrongdoing. These records document association and travel, not criminal activity. Still, the presence of such high-profile names has fueled widespread speculation about the connections and relationships Epstein maintained.
It took a lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on, hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids. It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to because we were right there blatantly in front of them. They knew exactly what was going on. Everyone's turned a blind eye in the place where I was supposed to be protected, in my country where I was supposed to be protected. The justice system failed us then. I believe they're going to do something amazing for us now. I really believe in them. I believe that the New York Southern District wants to do the right thing. And I will do everything that I can do to be a part of helping them do that.
Just yesterday, the Department of Justice released the names of 6 more billionaires connected to Jeffrey Epstein, names that had previously been redacted. Their disclosure only came after senators pressured the DOJ to unseal the information. It raises the question, how many more names remain hidden, and why has the DOJ been so hesitant to make the files public? The reaction on social media has been sharp. One tweet noted, instead of redacting the victims' names as they requested, the DOJ redacted the predators' names. They were supposed to protect victims, but they protected predators. Another added, I don't think the DOJ is concerned about protecting the victims. They are, however, very concerned about protecting some of the predators because they are high-ranking and wealthy people with political pull. It's the most ass-backwards and corrupt cover-up in history. These revelations suggest a staggering level of influence and secrecy surrounding Epstein's network, and the files continue to raise more questions than answers about who was involved and how far the cover-up went.
Epstein's wealth was so vast, the fact that he had this fleet of planes. We've heard a lot about the Lolita Express. What happened on the Lolita Express?
Everything that happened on the Lolita Express and his other planes was the same thing that happened in his bedrooms and the massage rooms, on the beach, wherever we were. The did not stop because we're in the air. 95% of the time, there was always involved. Jeffrey couldn't take a 2-hour flight without having to ejaculate. That's how sick this man was.
How did you live every day? How did you get on board that plane? How did you live knowing you're going off to New York or to the island or to wherever you were about to be trafficked to? You must have been a ball of dread and anxiety.
I was horrified, I was sad, I was angry, I was disgusted. I was a shell, and the only way that I could cope with what I was going through was, taking Xanax. And Xanax is like an anti-anxiety tablet, but it also, it took away that feeling of anger, sadness. It made me feel numb. It was a numbing tablet.
On his podcast, Joe Rogan also highlighted just how suspicious it is that no one on Epstein's client list has faced prosecution. The names are out there, the FBI possesses footage, and yet, despite these 3 million files representing only about 20% of what the Bureau holds, no arrests have been made. If authorities wanted to act, they could start today, but they haven't. These files sat unreleased for nearly 2 decades, even after Epstein's Black Book was recovered in 2009. To this day, not a single individual listed has been convicted or even brought to trial. Many speculate this is due to just how deeply connected these guests are. There have even been reports suggesting Epstein may have been working for MI6 or other intelligence networks, though no publicly verified evidence confirms these claims. For now, such assertions remain unproven allegations circulating online and in media commentary, leaving a trail of questions that continue to haunt Epstein's shadowy legacy.
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files.
999. So far, the only consequences for Epstein's high-profile associates have been public scrutiny. Peter Mandelson, the UK ambassador to the United States, was removed from his post in September after emails revealed closer ties to Epstein than he had previously acknowledged. Then there's Prince Andrew. Virginia Roberts Giuffre alleged that Epstein abused her and instructed her to be with Andrew when she was just 17. Andrew has consistently denied the allegations, but the fallout was significant. His brother, King Charles, stripped him of honorary military roles and royal patronages, and he stepped back from public royal duties.
But yeah, I think the public will be rightly frustrated if no one is prosecuted for the Epstein client list, no one at all, which, no one, like at least, I don't know, the top 5 or something, like some number. There should at least be an attempted prosecution of the worst offenders.
Well, particularly if Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for trafficking.
Yes.
Because, trafficking...
Well, that means occurred.
Right. So she's in jail for it.
Yes.
So,
who were the clients?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane.
I think, yes, it would... Yes, because...
It's just stunning that they've been able to hold it back for so long. It's really kind of amazing.
Yes.
Like when people say that people can't keep secrets, what the f*** are you talking about? Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of these things are not like... It's common knowledge, but we don't actually have the proof.
Right.
So the proof is there. I mean, there's lots of videos. Yeah. There's lots. I mean, the dude is like a mountain of whenever they raided Epstein's place, there would have been like a mountain of evidence. Where is that mountain?
Right. What'd you do with it?
Yes. Like who took possession of the evidence?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
The individuals.
Where are the tapes?
Epstein may be gone, but Ghislaine Maxwell is still at large and has consistently refused to cooperate. Multiple victims have testified that she played a direct role in the abuse and helped Epstein orchestrate and control his operations. Yet, remarkably, little concrete action has been taken against her so far.
2. From disturbing photos of the former Prince Andrew to his alleged sharing of government documents with convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein, the fallout from the Epstein files once again putting the British royal family into turmoil. Andrew has denied all wrongdoing, but the pressure is now ramping up on the royals to do and say more about their disgraced relative. The Crown under fire.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
From King Charles to Prince William, shouted at in Saudi Arabia.
To what extent do you think the royal family has done enough around the Andrew and Epstein issue?
ITV also capturing Queen Camilla getting tough questions too.
Do you have a message for Epstein's victims, Your Majesty?
We've never actually seen other members of the royal family heckled to the extent that we have in the last few days.
As her lawyer continues to press for clemency in exchange for her testimony, something President Trump has continually declined to rule out. How does this all make you feel?
It's honestly very disturbing to see these images of her and have her be looked at as someone who could potentially be providing any kind of information in this case. I mean, she has refused over and over to cooperate with the investigation. She's refused to she doesn't have any empathy or has not expressed any empathy or remorse to her victims. So I think it's highly problematic that anyone would consider negotiating with a serious criminal like this. And I think it would just really be indicative of guilt in some way, because we know that she is not a credible source of information.
And you say to her victims, as you know, she has repeatedly said that she had no involvement directly with actually.
Yeah, I can speak, very personally to the fact that that's not true. She was towards me. And there's so many other crimes that she committed that she wasn't even prosecuted for. There were 4 of us that testified at her trial, but I have now met so many women who say it was because of Ghislaine Maxwell that I ended up being sometimes for years, and that she was at times involved in that herself. So she was a very central figure in this system, and her efforts to minimize her role have not been effective. You know, we've seen in the files that have been released already several places where the emails she sent are contradictory to things she said on the record before.
Just last week, Ghislaine Maxwell was called to testify, but she refused to answer any questions. If Epstein truly operated alone, why is she so unwilling to speak? Her silence only deepens the mystery surrounding the full extent of the network and the secrets that remain buried.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
If you want deeper breakdowns of the Epstein files, detailed timelines, and clear distinctions between verified facts and speculation, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll continue dissecting the documents and separating fact from rumor, showing you exactly what the files reveal. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you see this as a failure of the justice system, or is there something bigger happening behind the scenes?